Oh, hey guys. Work is just treating me like a sack of shit right now, and I am like working like basically non-stop for like 2 weeks or so. And I've got quite a few days left still to do before this ordeal is over. But I did want to say something just very quickly about Hearts and Hooves Day, which I was just rewatching just now. And generally speaking, in the fandom, it's not really an episode that people like really hate or anything. It's just not an episode people remember particularly fondly. It's kind of an episode that people will just skip over just because it's kind of a nothing kind of episode. There's nothing really to take from it that people particularly enjoy. I kind of like it though. I do very much consider it very much a kind of guilty pleasure kind of episode because it is kind of a weird, kind of dumb kind of episode. But interesting thing I've heard some people say about the episode. One kind of criticism I've heard some people is they don't really understand the moral. They've been saying things like, when does anybody ever need to learn that lesson of, it's up to individuals to pick, their partner for life for themselves or something. It's like, when would you ever need to learn that lesson? And I beg to differ a little bit, actually. I think that is kind of a good lesson. It's perhaps not really a lesson kids really need to know, but it is a lesson that people in life do need to learn. Because, it's interesting. This episode actually resonates with me quite a lot because I first of all feel I'm a lot like Big Mac, actually. I do keep to myself a lot. I do stay very quiet and not say very much. And I particularly like that scene in Pinkie Apple Pie where, he said something to Pinkie Pie, and Pinkie Pie, we don't know what he said, but Pinkie Pie just thought it was really deep. And I'm like, that is a lot like me. I don't say very much very often, but when I do say things, people will look at me and sort of, I wouldn't have pictured you saying something like that. That's interesting, or that's a good point, or something. I do like to sort of take value in thinking that I don't say very much, just generally speaking. But when I do have something to say, it's worthwhile. I don't talk for the sake of it or anything. But I also relate to Miss Shirley quite a lot in this episode, really, because I have been in her position that she's in this episode from time to time. Because, I have told people I know, people I work with, friends, just generally a lot of the time, that I don't have a partner at this particular moment in life, and people do react a lot like the CMC reacted in this episode. Well, they don't do that thing with their eyes, but, they are really like, really? That's kind of weird. And some of them do actually go the further step that the CMC go in this episode, and they do try to sort of hook me up with someone. And I just don't understand why they would do this. It's like, I don't know if I've ever said this to anyone, like on my YouTube channel or something, but I cannot be bothered trying to hold down a relationship. I just find it so much hassle. I've met people, I've gotten to know them, and occasionally I've just said to them, you want to go out? And we've gone out on a couple of dates, and, I sort of think to myself, well, I guess we're a couple now. And then I don't speak to them for weeks or months or whatever. I just vaguely sort of say to them, do you want to go out again? We've not seen each other in a while or something. I honestly cannot be bothered with, trying to take things any further, or I'm not interested in making the effort, and, if they're not interested in making the effort either, I kind of wonder what's the point. So, like a month or a couple of months later or something, we just like, this just isn't working, whatever, we'll just split up. So yeah, I just cannot be bothered with commitment to a relationship, really. It just doesn't seem worth the hassle, really. I don't really see the point at all of the time. I can only think of maybe one person I've ever met in my life where I've actually thought to myself, I could marry them one day. And, I asked them out and they said no. So that was kind of a shame. There is actually one other person that I work with at the moment who I do get along with really well. But she's a lesbian, so that's no good. But yeah, people do occasionally just sort of say, hey, what about this person? And I'm like, I've spoken to that person once. Like, why? Just because they're single and I'm single, we should just get together? No, it doesn't work like that. And occasionally, I've been right there sometimes, and they've been put on the spot when people who know me have just sort of said, oh, he's single. And, they react the exact same way as me. They're just like, no, I don't know him. What? You know, so I don't get this idea of being in a relationship for the sake of it, basically, or just hooking people up or putting people together just because they happen to both be single. So yeah, I actually do kind of like the lesson in Hearts and Hooves here. You know, I think it's maybe not such a good lesson for kids, but you know, it is a good lesson in life in general. But anyway, yeah, that's Hearts and Hooves Day, and you know, you probably won't see a proper video from me again for another week or so, at least not until I've got a bit more energy to do things really, because at the moment I'm just working my arse off. So yeah, see you later, guys. Bye bye.